Hmm. Okay, so am I back to host now, or am I still co-host?
You're still co-host. I'm making you host back.
Okay, shall I make you co-host then?
Yeah, you'll have to. I'll be your TF for the whole session.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yes. So 1 more minute, then session would be started.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's nice to talk to you before we start.
Pleasure is also mine. I
Hope you
also
get
used
lots
to
of
learn new things.
get lots of good ideas today.
Yeah, I wish so.
That's what I'm hoping. In fact, I should grab a piece of paper here. There we go.
Okay, I'm letting the learners in.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. I'm ready.
Okay, have a great session.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. We've got Detlef, Joan, Mary. Hi, Donna. Hi, Fred. Welcome. Nice to see you. I've seen you in lots of hi, Verna. Nice to see you, Joan. Welcome, everyone. Please feel free to turn your cameras on. Love to see your faces, and feel free to turn your audio on. It's so delightful to see people coming in from all over the country. Hi, Nikki. Oh, so happy. I was hoping you would come today.
You're here. Yes, I'm happy.
Glad you're here. I'm glad you're all here. But Nikki and I have been taking classes together for so long. So I'm glad you're here. I'm so glad. So we're going to have a really good time today. For me, talking about travel is like talking about chocolate, because I absolutely love it, and I can hardly wait to hear your stories and get your advice. So I'm going to put in the chat questions. If you would just do that first, just to know where you all are and what brings you today. So if you'll go ahead and look at the chat, and we'll wait a few more minutes while people are still pouring in. And the person that's initials are MBWEL, can you tell me your name? Is that your name? Or can we change it to say your name? And let's see, Leslie, Pat, we've got two Leslies. Posbo, yay, I'm in Seattle.
And Pat is in Southern California.
Okay, great. Hi, Pat. And we have a Patricia. We've got someone in Florida.
Deborah Johnson.
Okay. A lot of people. St. Louis, I've been there. I love that arch. Hi, Jeannie. Welcome. As you're coming in, welcome.
Yes.
And please check the chat. I have just 2 questions. Find out where you're coming in from. Let the other learners know here today, other fellow travelers, where you are. So happy you're here. So for those of you, okay, Springfield, hi Joan. Is there anyone who is taking a Get Set Up class for the first time? If you'll raise your hand or use your reaction and let me know you're here for the very first time. Deborah, are you here for the first time? No, okay. So all of you have been here before, great. If anybody has just coming in for the first time, please let me know. I'd definitely like to share information about Get Set Up, but those of you who've taken classes, and I've seen a lot of your faces before. So, wow, this is so delightful to see all of you. Please feel free to turn your cameras on so we can see you and welcome you. I'm also gonna, before we start, I'm gonna do a poll so we can get a little bit more information on what brings you today and what you're interested in. So please respond to the poll, and then we can all get the results of why we're all here and what we're all thinking about travel right now. So if you can mute, go ahead and mute your, if you, everybody be on mute, please.
You didn't have a maybe for question number 2. Oh, she's not.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's just me.
Okay. You can, if you want to, you can, once I show it, if you want to respond. That's
I
okay.
agree. Maybe is a good.
Okay. Next time I do a poll, maybe we'll be in there. Thank you. That's why we're here, to you guys to help me. Okay.
So
Thank
I
you,
did
Verna.
other.
Thank you, Verna. Thank you. There we go. Okay. If you did other, that's great. That's fine. Okay. Everybody, I think everybody's had a chance. Let's see what the poll looks like. And I'm going to share the results. Okay, so the people here today are planning to travel this year. Okay, 75%. That's encouraging, mostly in the United States. Some people look like they're going to go to Europe for next year. 83%. In the United States, 67%. Over half of you are thinking about Europe. And your concerns: safety, planning alone, money, and where to start. Well, perfect, because all those things we're going to cover today. So again, welcome to Get Set Up. I'm going to go ahead and start the slides. If you can stay mute, because if anybody has background noise, it just really helps. But please, if you have a question or comment with what I'm sharing, please unmute and say, Christine, I want to say something or ask a question. I can't always access the chat easily with the slides, so go ahead and unmute. I will definitely be stopping the slides and coming back to all of you. We're at 24 people right now, but let's get started and talk about travel. Okay, so hopefully all of you see that. So we're talking today about traveling solo, and we're going to talk about the different options. So number one, welcome to Get Set Up. We all learn from each other. Ideally, you can, if you have your cameras on, it helps. If you want a recording of this section, you just email help@getsetup.io, which will also be at the end of this and also in the follow-up email you get. This is also being live streamed. So the best you can, if you want to participate, the best thing to do is register. I'm going to be talking about books, sites that I'm familiar with, but we get no promotion. We don't get paid for anything that I'm talking about. I'm just sharing my information, as hopefully all of you will be sharing your information. And just to make sure, we are recording, correct? Nancy?
Christine?
Yes. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Okay, we are all right. Let me go back. Hold on. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So just to introduce myself, I currently live in Seattle, but I've also lived in Honolulu, Boston, and San Francisco. And I am a retired, sorry about this. I retired 3 years ago as a teacher and career consultant working with corporations and colleges. My love of travel started when I was 16, when I took my first flight from Seattle to San Francisco. I'm a former flight attendant, so travel is in my blood. I've been in every state except Alaska. And I've been to Mexico, Canada, and France. My dream is to go to Italy and Spain. I enjoy learning about people's life stories, and I love talking about traveling. I have a master's degree in counseling, which is what I did for the past 30 years, and a teacher for my lifetime. So what we're going to talk about today are what are options for solo travel. I'm going to share my experience in doing solo travel for a good portion of my life. My sister is also probably the most traveled person that I know all over the world. And then also we're going to definitely have opportunity. Yes?
Nikki is asking to enlarge your slides a bit.
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
Okay, let's see if that helps. Okay.
Is that okay, Nikki?
Okay. So we're going to get advice from each other and share resources. So let me just go out here. With a show of hands, we raise your hand either if you have your camera on, or if you don't have your camera on, we use your reaction and raise your hand if you've traveled solo. So I just have an idea. Okay, we have some people have, good. We're going to have people be able to give us advice. Okay. Okay, in the chat, if you would type when most you traveled, how long has it been, and where did you travel to? And then the other question for those of you, where would you want to travel? You mentioned in the poll, but I'm curious where the first place you are most interested in traveling to, either in the United States or outside of the United States, and how soon. I know from the poll, but if you'd also like to share that, where is the first place you're going to plan to go to? And if you've already made reservations, I'd be curious to know that too. I have not yet. So what are the benefits of solo travel? This is gonna be a little bit too big. Let me see if I can make it. Hold on a second. I'm gonna get it bigger so you can see it. There, I hope that helps. Something. Okay. So hopefully you can see that when I have it on the whole screen, sometimes it doesn't, I can't see it as well as you. So anyway, what are the benefits of traveling solo? It allows you flexibility to plan and explore what you'd like to do, allows you to meet other people, which is what happened to me on my trips. Look for places like hostels where you can meet other solo travelers, or with I did a group tour. I went by myself, but joined a tour, and understanding the safety, learning about what things we need to do to stay safe, but definitely know the rest where you're going. So my experience in, I mentioned my first trip I actually took by myself at 16. And from that, I think that's what sort of made me want to become a flight attendant, because I just fell in love with travel. I also live in Seattle, and everyone in my family, including me, has worked for the Boeing company. So I think we have airplanes in our blood. I have 4 parents, all 4 of them worked for the Boeing company, as did my brother. So in 2010, I went to France alone. I was 60. My sister sent me for my 60th birthday. My dream, my whole life, was to go to Paris. I took French for 5 years. And in 2009, I signed up for a Rick Steves tour. Rick Steves lives here in the Pacific Northwest. I've been going to, he does free workshops. I've been going to those, watching them on PBS as long as he's been doing them, which I think is over 30 years. And so I joined his 7-day in Paris tour. So I made all my own flight reservations. His tour had a hotel where all of us on the tour stayed together, and including a French tour guide. So then from that, in 2010, I went back to France on my own, and I picked my own hotel, made my own reservations. And then I also wanted to go out to Mont Saint-Michel, which is it's a 3-hour train ride outside of Paris, which again, I booked all of that. And I didn't get to see Mont Saint-Michel. I ended up in a small town, Saint-Malo, because of a rail strike. So I made it all the way 3 hours outside of Paris and just spent 3 days in this lovely little town. I also I made reservations and went to Giverny, where Monet's home is, and his garden, and had a delightful experience doing that. Let's see, in the late 90s, I did a 4-day cruise by myself, which left LA, went to Catalina Island, which is off about an hour away from LA. And then we also went to Ensenada, Mexico, and San Diego. That was a 4-night cruise. I was a flight attendant from 1986 to 1987, and I think I have been to every state. I know I've not been to Alaska, but I think I must have landed in almost every state. And therefore, yes, I was with a crew, but sometimes I would be, the crew would stay together and I might be on my own. But again, in every city, we could do whatever we wanted to do. So I really became accustomed to whatever city we were staying in, just to see as much as I could for the times we were there. And so as a flight attendant, I was living in Honolulu when I became a flight attendant. So I was relocated to Boston from Honolulu, which was quite an undertaking. And then I transferred to be based in San Francisco, and then eventually came back to Seattle, where I am from. So that's sort of just a brief summary. My sister, who is more of a world traveler, she has traveled mostly with the University of Washington Alumni Association. So I recommend, if you're connected to your high school or college, or just look up to see if your high school or college alumni association has traveled, because my sister has had very good luck with our alumni association, and she also uses talk tours. Excuse me. So she has been to Ireland. She actually rented a car in Ireland, and they drive on the opposite side of the street. She has been to Africa, many countries in Africa, including South Africa. She's been to Dubai. So on her way to Africa, she actually flew from Seattle to, stayed in Dubai, and then went on to Africa and did all kinds of tours, and just loved it. She's been to the Galapagos Islands off of Ecuador. She went to Easter Island from Ecuador. And she's been to Antarctica. So she landed in Buenos Aires, stayed there, and then flew to Patagonia, where she joined a tour. She was on a French cruise ship to go, which is a 2 to 3 day crossing to go to Antarctica, and absolutely loved it. And she wants to go back again. So with the poll, we learned, what some of your concerns are. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about. What are options? So number one, if you're traveling alone, you can do all of your reservations. You don't have to, you're not checking. I've traveled a lot. I had with my former partner, we traveled a lot together. So you have to work with the person as far as their availability. I have traveled with my sister too. So it's your air, your hotels, if you're going to do tours, whatever you're going to do. So my example is also, so the first time I went to Paris, again, I mentioned I went on my own, all my reservations except for the Rick Steves tour handled the hotel and all the activities. Then the second time I did it all by myself with the internet. I found hotels that I knew Paris then, so I could figure out where I wanted to stay in relation to what I wanted to see. And mostly all I did was tour museums. And fortunately, I had beautiful weather. It was in October. So you can still go single, which is what I did with the Rick Steves tour. I paid the extra, it was worth it to be single. And then with a tour company or a cruise. So the same thing with the cruise, I was on my own, made all my reservations. If you decide to go with a friend, technically you can still do all your own reservations. You can stay in separate rooms. It's just really what you need to do. So Rick Steves is just one option. Let me just open this link here. He has, with all my research of looking at sites, Rick Steves has really excellent resources. And I'm going to be sending you all these links in the follow-up email. So this one is particularly geared at women, but he just has tips for just traveling solo, but he also has lots of book suggestions, which again, I'm going to be sending you this link. So then he just has tips just for traveling solo. So he's been doing this again for over 30 years. So he has so many ideas. One of the things for the safety section that I really want to stress with you is for those of you who've traveled, and I'm sure you can share how important it is to have a good safety pouch. So as you're thinking about how you keep your belongings and you have something that's carried close to your body. So I just want to make sure in the safety section, we talk about that. So one of the things in traveling alone, this is from National Geographic. It's really important, especially now before you're making any reservations, that you're definitely checking on the location, whether it's in the United States, whether it's a foreign country, will they even let you in right now? And what are the COVID requirements? Do you have to be vaccinated? Then the other thing is making sure you're checking on what's happening in that country. If you are able to get in with vaccines, what is happening with the political environment of that country to make sure you understand that you're choosing accommodations that are located to what you want to see. Trust yourself in making your decisions as far as knowing. I would also be asking questions of anyone that you know that's traveled and get advice and ideas. And hopefully that's what we'll do today, is share. You need to make sure you understand if you need a visa or you don't need a visa. You definitely need a passport, and that you make copies of that information. For example, with my sister, she takes copies of everything and sends it to me, to her daughter, so that we all have backup copies. If for some reason she lost all of her ID, it got stolen, she would have that all as backup information. So making photocopies, scanning them, and then sending them to yourself so you have access to them if for some reason you got lost. You want to make sure that you're staying in open public places, especially at night. And you also, wherever you're staying, the hotels were wonderful as far as giving advice, making suggestions, asking, is it safe to go out, which streets that you're staying next to. But I would also only be picking a hotel that you've done enough research on to know that the neighborhood that you picked is a good hotel. That's why talking with a tour company. So for example, with Rick Steves, you do not have to use his tour company. They do consulting, and his tour books are actually excellent at describing that information. Again, I'm most familiar with his tour books, but there are plenty of tour books. And I would also make sure you get the most recent copyright date, especially with what's happened to the world in the last year and a half. You want to make sure you're getting current information and knowing what's going out. You also don't want to dress like a tourist. If you've traveled, I've seen it's very obvious, and because I lived in Hawaii, people look like tourists, or in Europe, people look like tourists. So you want to fit in as much as you can. Do not bring jewelry. Make sure you leave your valuables at home, and you're using that travel pouch, which is something that you connect around your body and that is hidden by your clothing. And I'm hoping other people are going to talk about that. So I've got lots of websites here. I want to stop for a minute, and we're going to, before we go on to the websites, and just check the chat here. Lots of things. Okay. So anybody have comments, questions, what we've covered so far?
I just have a comment, Christine. You made a comment about traveling with a friend and you can stay in different rooms. I haven't done this, but I know people who have booked travel with a friend, even if they have different interests. They share the hotel to not pay the single supplement, and then they go off and do their own tours and regroup
Right.
back in the evening for dinner and stuff like that. So that's another option for people to save some money as a solo traveler.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important. You know, if you really want to go, but you really are hesitant to go alone, please don't hear me saying go alone. I'm saying what I'm trying to get across to you is knowing what your comfort level is, what your level of risk is. If you really want to go, like the cruise I did by myself, it was okay, but it would have been more fun to have gone with someone else. Fortunately, I was put at a table for dining with a lovely family, a large family who just included me. But if you have a really close friend or a family member, and again, like what Jeannie suggested, was sharing a hotel room, if you're comfortable with that, great. So again, this isn't about saying, oh, go travel by yourself, you'll be fine. That isn't what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is there are ways that you can do it, which I've done, which my sister has done. We've both only done, you know, like the cruise or the hotels. We pay the supplement because we'd prefer to do that. But if you're comfortable with a friend, great. So anybody else, comments, questions, something you want to share, Joan?
I've traveled with a tour company, and I have found out of all the trips that I've taken, and I've been in probably about 40 countries, although none of them all alone. Only on one trip, which was Japan, had more men than women. All the other trips that I've been on, 2/3 of the people have been women. So even though I didn't know anyone in the tour group when I started, there's someone that you're going to be compatible with. And there are, I was surprised. I didn't realize the women travel and not the men alone.
Yes, so the tour that I did, the Rick Steves tour in 2009, which was again 7 days in Paris, and I did 10 days, 3 days before and 3 days after. But the tour group was wonderful. They were all Americans from all over the country. They were all lovely. We could choose to have breakfast together in the hotel, or you could go out and do whatever you want, but breakfast was included. Lunch, typically we were on our own, but the tour did provide 3 dinners that the tour set up, and I'm so glad because the food was fabulous. So we all ate together, and the people were lovely and wonderful. My sister has stayed in touch. My sister's been traveling alone for 20 years. And my sister's the kind of person, she just stays in touch with everyone. So she truly has friends all over the world that she stayed with and made friends with on those tours. And typically, I would say on the tour that I did to Paris with Rick Steves, it was 24 of us, and probably 1/3 of us were singles. So we were in all various ages. So my experience of being with a tour is that people were charming, they were lovely, and they were, just kind. So so you don't look at, even though you're booking yourself, you're still going to be around nice people. So anybody else, any comments, any other thoughts before we go on? Okay, we'll go on.
I have a quick one. Are there groups that focus on single women, and they will take the people that sign up and pair you so you are sharing a room, etc.? Or do you know of those?
You know, what you need to do is do your research on tour, where you want to go and companies that do tours there. Because with my experience with Rick Steves, and I think with my sister with Talk Tours or with the University of Washington, when you're signing up for the tour, you're signing up either as a single or you're signing up that you as a single would like to be paired with someone. So again, you're taking whoever they give you unless you have someone going with you. But you would need to check with whatever tour company what their guidelines are for singles. So you would just need to check that, because again, if they pair you up with someone, they're going to give you however that goes. So you don't have that choice, okay? But
I think Grand Circle will help you find a roommate. I've never done it, but someone else I know did.
So that's another thing. If you also want to put into the chat, if you have tour companies, again, I'm not promoting Rick Steves, it's just my experience of him. And we also had him as a guest speaker. So if you do have other companies, but definitely just go to the section of their website where, like with the ones I'm going to show you, look up what their options are for single travelers. Okay. All right.
Joan, could you put that in the chat on the group that you mentioned? Thank you.
Okay. So I'm giving you lots of websites in the follow-up email. This is with Talk Tours, the one that my sister has used to travel all over the world. And they actually have a solo travelers where people put information about, so you've got a place to search there. This is a site for, 10 fun travel tours for singles. And again, I'm not endorsing these. I've just been doing research, trying to find things that might fit. This is Lonely Planet. 10 destinations perfect for single travelers. Smart Travel. Things to know about a solo trip. Let me get down to where we are here. Okay, so these are some other things I'm going to send you are packing tips, which, and last night, Rick Steves, every Monday, Rick Steves has a program on for about an hour and a half. And last week it was on art all over Europe. And last night it was on just different cities, but it has posted, and they're already filling up their 2022 tours. So that was really fun to know that those are filling up. Let's see. Oh, one of the things, Get Set Up offered a speaker from this company called Untours, which was absolutely delightful. This is where instead of booking with a tour company where you go from town to city, you basically, they have apartments in different countries in Europe, and you basically, you book whatever city you're going to, and you would stay in an apartment, and then you would, they provide you with assistance if you want to travel outside of that town and then come back to stay there. But it just is, I'm going to send you that. But the woman who spoke, it was about an hour, and it was excellent on different way to travel, going with a tour and you're with a group of people. This is, you book an apartment, which you could book with a group, but you could also just book for yourself just to stay there. The other thing, most of you, I'm sure, are very familiar with AAA, which is typically about, helping you with getting with your car. But they also have travel information, and they also have people who help you and give you advice. So I'm going to be sending that to you. And I've mentioned that about emailing family and friends, your itinerary, everything, being prepared mentally. You know, you're going to another country, especially if you don't know the language. Even though I had 5 years of French, it still felt like I could barely understand. But so it's just one of those things of knowing and understanding the something about the language. If you can say thank you in every country you go to, or excuse me, or could you help me, to just learn those things. That's the good thing about our phones and the apps that we have, that you can use a bilingual phone app. And definitely stay connected. When I was in Paris by myself, I was definitely calling my sister and my significant other to just stay in touch, and it felt really connected, even though we were 9 hours different time zone. So definitely being open to unexpected things, unplanned things, like for me, going all the way to France and then having the rail strike happen. It almost affected my ability to get home, because here I am 3 hours outside of Paris, and I got the last train to Paris and was able to make my flight. But it's just those things, understanding, again, being aware when you're going to a foreign country and understanding what's going on in that country. The fact that there was a rail strike and didn't know, and they happen periodically. So just trying to find out as much as you can. Have a plan B, which is what I had to do. The rail strike affected my ability to go to Saint-Malo. I've traveled all the way from Seattle and I did not get to see it. So I ended up spending the day in the little town and learning a lot about that. So the other thing is being aware of CDC information, the alerts about, again, COVID, that's really important. Going to tsa.gov, finding out what's happening with different countries, not only with COVID, but also related to if there's anything you need to know about leaving the country, coming back into the country. You know, we're hearing the news about that you have to be tested before you get on, have a temperature tested, you have to have a vaccine card, all these things. So you have to make sure you know what is being expected of you and required of you before you leave. So I have suggestions on a few books. If you, I have not read Eat, Pray, Love, but I definitely saw the movie about a woman who traveled to Italy, India, and Tahiti by herself. It's delightful, and it gives you a lot of encouragement for traveling alone, because that's what she did, it alone. There's also, I'm going to send you the link for the Lonely Planet solo travel handbook, and I just found this when I was actually in a bookstore in my neighborhood finally just opened, and I found this wonderful book called Live, Love, and Explore. And this author is just amazing. And I'm going to send you his website. Let me open the link here. This man went from being a full-time stockbroker in London, and he decided one day that he didn't want to do that anymore. So he quit his job, and for over a decade, he's traveled to 100 countries, and he basically works on humanitarian things, giving things away, giving money away. He actually has a documentary series. I'm going to send you his link. And he has a Netflix series called The Kindness Diaries. And he's traveled around the United States, traveled around many countries, and he's just such an interesting man. And the book is absolutely amazing. And I've been reading it. I had so much fun reading it. And I think you will enjoy his website. So advice for others, if anything that's come to mind to put in the chat, I will copy the chat and share it with you. Any books on websites, any things you want to share on website, books, or other advice. So what I hope you learned today about options for solo travel, whether you do it all alone, whether you do it alone with a group, You decide to do a cruise where you are with other people, but I've done it alone, whether you do alone with tours or maybe you want to do it with a family member. I've traveled with my sister. We have separate hotel rooms. I hope we're going to have some time to share other people's experiences, but I just want to finish. So you will get class notes. I'm going to send you all the links that I showed you. Please give it, this is the first time we're doing this. Russ used to do solo travel as more of a discussion group, and they decided to do it more of a class, and Russ is teaching lots of classes, so I'm taking this for him. So please, in the feedback session, let us know if we covered what you wanted or what you'd like us to cover. Please let me know if there's something I can do differently, and also let Get Set Up know what other classes you want or how we might be able to do this differently. We're very open to feedback. So related classes, Russ Eames has so many classes, and he has like top 10 travel tips, traveling overseas on a budget. So those are some of his. My other classes are, I do a class on resumes, interviewing, journaling for mindfulness, and also finding remote or virtual jobs and volunteering. So those are mine. So again, please spread the word about Get Set Up. Continue to invite people to come. If you want to host an interest group, definitely anything that you want to share, it would be to help@getsetup.com to request the recording. And you can also share, invite a friend to any of the classes. So I'm going to stop sharing, and anybody have anything they want to ask, offer as advice, anything you want to share? Okay, make sure you check the chat because people are sharing a lot. But please feel free to open your mics and share.
One of the things that I learned to do way back, and it's not, I don't know if you can do it now or not because there's not as many people that smoke, was to pick up a pack of matches from the hotel. Because we'd go out and start walking and it would be pouring down rain and we had to get a taxi. And the one time we didn't know that we couldn't remember the name of the hotel. So we ended up having to walk back because so take something with you with the address or the name of the hotel.
Great idea. And one of the things I do before I leave the hotel, because you may not find matches, is to take either a business card. Most hotels all have business cards, which have a phone number and their address. Also brochures, so anything in that hotel lobby. Absolutely great idea, Joan. I really love that. Also, you're going to have your cameras, your phones, take pictures of everything. You might even take a picture of the street, the cross signs of the street you're on. So great idea. Thank you. Other people have questions or suggestions?
Actually, I've got some.
Sorry, good. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Actually, I've got some questions about cruising. It's something that I really enjoy doing, and I found that doing it solo it gets expensive. I'm retired, and my partner is still working, and she can't get away as often as I would like to go. I had a cruise booked last fall for 3 months from Italy all the way to Hong Kong. And it got canceled because all of the cruises got canceled. But I'm interested in finding something like that again. Is there any cruise line you can recommend, or anything else you can recommend that would help with that?
Unfortunately,
and try to avoid the extra cost.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've only taken one cruise in my life. My sister has taken a lot of them. So the best thing I would do is check with a travel organization like AAA, which is a travel agent, maybe a couple travel agents. Talk to your friends, find out from your friends what cruise lines they've used. I definitely do research. My sister married into the Princess Cruise Lines, so she was connected to them. They have a wonderful reputation, at least they did. So anybody else here, if you'd like to recommend cruises that you've done, and what I do is when you're checking out these cruise lines is I would, they talk with the people and say that what your situation is. I'm a single person. What options do you have for people who are single? What do you do to help people match up so I can decide whether I want to do a single option or whether I'm willing to share a room? So, but I would definitely, your best thing is talking to people that you respect to find out what cruise lines they find helpful. Go back to the cruise line that you booked with and find out what their situation is and find out how they accommodate people who are single. I did not do that when I did my cruise. I did Norwegian. I did not have a great experience, and there really wasn't, it was in the, like I said, the late 90s. So they really didn't accommodate me, I didn't think, as a single person, but then I didn't know what to ask either. So,
sorry.
Yes, Jeannie?
There's a website called cruisecritic.com that gives a lot of good information about cruising. I've gone on 3 cruises, but they're all based out of Florida to like the Bahamas. But I just watched for sales. Like Christine said, you can go to AAA and a travel agent to help you narrow down which ones suit your needs.
AAA costs extra. By doing it through them, I found them very expensive. I'd rather do my own booking. Cruise Critic is one of the sites that I've worked with, and they have some bargain cruises that you can find. There's a couple of other cruise sites online too. The thing that I've found that I can't seem to get around is the surcharge for single cabin.
You have to just watch
I was wondering if anybody has any advice for that.
I have changed my dates from like 1 week out to 2 weeks out, or pulled things in because the sale prices on the single supplement have changed. Another site that does not charge you over, and I've had excellent experience with, if you're a member of Costco Travel has cruises listed in there. Now, the last cruise I went on, I ended up booking through the cruise line because they gave me a little bit more onboard credit than Costco did.
What was the other one that you mentioned?
Costco.
Costco.com.
Costco.
They have a travel
Costco
website.
Travel.
Yep.
My one experience with that, I was going to Turkey, and I wanted to go to some of the Greek islands before I went to Turkey, and I started looking around for it, and I found someone in my area that was a travel agent that was from Greece, and he found a cruise ship, and it went, I think, like 8 days to all the different places. You could go for 4 days or 6 days or whatever. Locals used it, and they had a single cabin in there that he knew about. Otherwise, I would have never found that on my own. So you might be able to find a small, and this was a lot of years ago, so I don't know if any of the ships kept getting bigger. There may be some that still have single cabins. When I did my very first trip, I had a single cabin on that too, but that was 20 years ago.
Norwegian is known for having single cabins, but I've never looked on European cruises. The last cruise I did was with them, and they didn't have any single cabins on the ship I was on, but they did every night. They invited singles to go meet in one of the bar locations, and then we would go head to dinner together. So we got to meet a lot of people that way.
So one of the things most travel agents, my experience was travel agents didn't charge just to do a consultation. So that would be what I would just ask them. So I would definitely check any cruise lines that, so with Norwegian, I did have a single room. It was not a great room that they first put me in, but they did have single rooms. So you might.
What about river cruises?
Yeah, so my sister, again, she's done all kinds of cruises and always done single, but she's, like I have, been willing to pay for that. So that would be the other thing. Any cruise line, as you research that's going in the destinations you want to go to, what accommodations do they have for single people? And my guess is because the cruise lines were all shut down for over a year, I would guess as they come back up, they may be more accommodating than they were before. But
That's
I would
true.
definitely, the key is just researching who does who goes where you want to go, and then contact them, their customer service, and find out, you know, who is going to serve you the best. That's the key.
And you can wait till a couple weeks before, and if they found out they have empty cabins, then they really have to sell them, and you might be able to get a last minute rate. I've heard of people that would do that out of Florida, that lived in Florida.
Yeah. It's one of the advantages of living in Miami or Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
My sister-in-law used to work for Costa Cruises, and they lived in Puerto Rico. And whenever they had unsold cabins, they would offer it to people that worked there, where they just had to pay for the taxes. So,
That'd
you
be
know,
great.
they'd get to take quick trips for virtually free.
Yeah,
So
that'd be
that's
a good fringe benefit.
So that's another suggestion of all the friends you have. If you're on Facebook, if you're, you know, just through email, former co-workers, people at your religious community, reach out and just say, are you using a travel agent? Have you done cruises? Or wherever it is you want to go, reach out to people and just say, I'm looking for advice and looking for a good contact. Because if you call different travel agencies that book cruises and just say, I just want to check, what is your recommendation? What cruise line? It's not to book with them, but just ask their advice and just say, what cruise line serves single travelers the best? So this is all a part of research, but we can also learn so much from the internet of what people's experiences are also. So if you check Facebook pages for these major cruise lines, because people are posting what their experiences are. And of course, there isn't much for this past year, but maybe you can find some other things. But I think because of the cruise, you know, travel being shut down altogether, things are going to be different than what we've experienced before. So other people have questions, comments? We've got a few minutes left.
Do you have any
I-
info?
Oh, Carolyn, yes?
Do you have any info on river cruises?
I do not. I know with Europe, there are various river cruises. The one my sister did, and I'll have to look up what she did.
Viking is a popular one.
Viking. And so my sister went on the Blue Danube River. So anyway, okay, Joan just said Viking. I know there's also a cruise line that actually goes across France, and I'm not familiar with who they are. But again, if you check websites of organizations like Rick Steves also does feature cruises on his site. I would definitely look at AAA's website. You don't have to book, you can still just do research on their website and look up. But look up European cruise lines, find out who they are, and then just research and find out what kind of ratings they have. Okay, anyone else? Questions, comments you want to ask? Yes.
The other thing that I have done is do research on the exchange rate between dollars and euros, and I'll print out a little cheat sheet, and it would help me to realize, do I really want to pay $35 for this hamburger, or is it, you know, reasonable? And that really helped. You can find it on the internet easily.
Yeah, that's another really important thing we didn't cover today, which because there's so much to cover, but money exchange is real important, in understanding about using your credit card, debit card, the differences in the fees and countries. So those would be definitely, there's checklists and websites like Rick Steves or other companies. They have checklists for you that are making sure that you're understanding that the difference in using your credit card. Also your phone. I think it's changed since I haven't been to Europe for 11 years, but I had to get a different phone to take to Europe, which I don't think you have to do anymore. So it's just definitely checking with your phone carrier, letting them know you're out of the country, so you've got everything lined up, and also all your credit cards, whatever credit cards you're taking to another country or even going to another state, making sure your credit card company knows you are with your credit card using it so they don't block you. I actually went from Seattle just north about an hour, and because I charged something at a McDonald's a couple hours away, they blocked my card, which is crazy. So just make sure your whatever cards you're taking out of state, out of the country, that you've definitely checked with your credit card companies, your phone company, so they know that it's you and that your card hasn't been stolen. Okay.
Christine, let me recommend something as far as the phone goes.
Does not work.
I'm currently living in Berlin, in Germany. And when I come back to Denver, what I do is I get a SIM card. And I just put the SIM card in my phone, and then I have, then I can make phone calls in the US. And you can do the same thing getting a SIM cards that you can use in Europe. And believe it or not, these are available on Amazon. They cost you, some of them are free, some of them are $5. And then you can buy different prepaid plans or data plans or something like that. It's a lot cheaper than buying a whole new phone.
Right.
Yeah, Russ
Thank
has
you.
a class on that specifically to
Terrific.
use your phone outside of the thing, because depending on your phone, it may or may not work out of the country. My phone is a prepaid carrier, and it will not work even with a different SIM card. They will block the service somehow.
Yeah, I bought it's a Samsung phone that takes 2 SIM cards, so I can have both of them in there. So it works here in Europe and it works in the US.
Mine is just, I mean, I take the chance that if I have to buy a cheap phone to do that, I'll buy it, because I don't see myself needing that for the near future. But yeah,
You
the
can
SIM
email them. You can email instead of calling someone, and you can keep up with your family that way. Let them know you're safe every day.
Yeah,
email or text. Anything you can get on Wi-Fi, you can do for free without using cellular data.
And the hotels usually have computer rooms that they access. Even in 2009, I was able to use the hotel computer. So absolutely. So there are so many things. That's why Russ has so many travel classes. I highly recommend you look up Russ's travel classes and take them, because he's traveled extensively. There were so many lists, whatever, look at a couple different tour companies lists, because they should all have packing lists and things like phones and money and all these things. So our time is up. Again, I'm gonna keep the chat, and I'm so grateful you all came today. I said in the beginning, not all of you here, but to me, talking about travel is like talking about chocolate, and I love chocolate. And it's so delightful. I'm happy to see all of your faces today, those of you that wanted to share. And please feel free to come. Hopefully this isn't scheduled yet again, but hopefully it will, because we've had a really good turnout. And again, I didn't come on to be an expert. I came on to share my experience, my traveling sister's experience, and then hopefully for you all to have a place to share what you would like to share. So I hope we get to do this again. And we can come back and share your knowledge. And Detlef, I hope you'll come back and share if you found a great tour company that is going to be able to answer the questions that you asked today. And unfortunately, I'm definitely not a cruise expert, but I just want to find a place for us to have a discussion, and hopefully for you to get as much advice as you could today as we gear up to get out into the world again. So anyway, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Christine.
Okay.
Great
Thanks,
class.
Christine.
Great.
Much. I had so
Thank
much
you.
fun getting this together. It was really delightful.
Christine?
Now you have to take another trip.
Yes, it definitely. I am going to Italy. I want to go to Italy.
Bye.
Oh, you'll love eating in Italy.
Oh, that's probably the main reason I want to go. I've been watching Stanley Tucci on CNN. Have you seen that?
Oh,
Stanley
yes.
Tucci, he goes from town to town in Italy and eating and talking about the preparation of the food and the growing of the food. If you haven't seen it, look it up on CNN or wherever you would find it. And it is absolutely, as an Italian touring Italy, and he speaks Italian. He unfortunately speaks his parents or grandparents, and it's absolutely delightful. Nancy, I haven't saved the chat yet. Can you save the chat for me?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyway, it was just delightful. I appreciate all of you that contributed and all your advice. That's what I wanted to do, was provide a way for us to do that. So hopefully, again, we'll do it again. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful
Bye-bye.
day.
This was great.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It was so fun for me. Verna, nice to see you. Always happy to see you. Okay, so Nancy, are you going to send me the chat then? Will you be able to do that and the participants?
I'll be sending you on Slack.
Okay, that's fine. That's great. I think it is anyway. Let me see. Let me try here. Go to
Yeah,
file.
go to the chat.
Okay, I'm in file. Okay. Save
Not
chat.
in file. Yeah, save
Save
chat.
chat. And then do I do anything? It says
No.
show in folder.
Yeah,
So-
check the folder where your chat is going to be saved.
Oh, okay, got it. I'm gonna put it in this class. It doesn't have a. Oh, that isn't. There we go. There we go. Hold on here. It doesn't have a name. I'm putting save, but it's not going in there.
Did you click the 3 dots in the chat
I
section?
did. I did.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me go out and try again. Okay.
Okay.
I clicked the 3 dots.
There
Save
would be save
chat
chat.
and show in folder.
Yeah.
Or how about if I not to hit file? Google Drive, Microsoft, your computer. There we go. Let me do desktop. Oh, the name. There we go. That's what I was looking at. Okay. Oh, nope, it won't do it. Hold on. Wow, it won't let me put it in. Huh. Keep saying it won't let me put the file in.
You are using MacBook?
No, I'm on a PC and it won't
PC?
let me put it in. It keeps saying error. Let me try this the other way. Save chat, show folder. Okay, and it's okay, there it is.
Okay.
I
Christine?
think yes.
Yeah. When you click on save chat, there would be an option chat saved, then show in folder. On left hand side,
Yeah,
it would be
that's
showing
what it
chat
did.
saved.
Yep, it showed
It
that.
is okay. And on the right hand side, it would be saying show in folder. That means the chat is saved, but if you want to check in which folder it has been saved, it will show you that folder.
Okay, were you able to take a picture of the poll, or should I go ahead and take a picture of the poll?
Yeah, I have taken the screenshots.
You did do the screenshots?
Yeah, multiple screenshots. I have
Okay,
multiple screenshots.
thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate your help so much.
Okay. One thing, my system gets shut down once. So a part of chat would be missing, 1 or 2 questions. Otherwise, whole chat is being saved by me into
great.
errors.
Thank you.
Okay?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. Did you have fun listening to all the travel talk?
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. I'm so glad. It was so fun. Okay,
Yes.
you have a great day. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you to you too, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.